member from Leeds.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My question is for the Minister of Health. Last week, Ottawa patients, healthcare professionals and community leaders were shocked and very disappointed to learn that the unelected National Capital Commission overturned an 8-year decision by the Ottawa Hospital to rebuild across the street on the experimental farm. Instead of keeping the Civic campus and the Heart Institute together, the NCC picked the 6th-ranked Tunney's Pasture location, which isn't as accessible for patients and ambulances, will cost more because it will require demolishing existing buildings, and it will inevitably delay the much-needed rebuild. And my question to the minister is, will he intervene with the federal government and demand that Ottawa patients come first in order that the Ottawa Hospital build on the appropriate site, its preferred site, at the Civic, across from the Civic campus? As
Thank you. Minister of Health, Long-Term Care.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the question, and I also appreciate the fact that the member acknowledged that it is a federal issue in terms of the ultimate decision with regards to the siting of the new Civic Hospital. What I'm proud of, however, Mr. Speaker, is that there has been a significant community process and engagement of virtually of the residents that could potentially be impacted by those that benefit from the services that are provided at the current hospital, Mr. Speaker, that those are concerned about with legitimate concerns with regards to the siting or the possible options for siting the hospital. There has been a recommendation put forward by the National Capital Commission. That's all it is at this point, Mr. Speaker. It is a recommendation following a process that they led. It's now up to the federal government and the federal cabinet to review that recommendation along with other considerations and make an ultimate decision, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary.
The hospital rebuild will be funded by the provincial government. You are the major stakeholder. In fact, my constituents are major stakeholders as well, and they expect that you will follow what the Ottawa Hospital has recommended, which is the site at the experimental farm directly across the street. The only Ottawa residents on the NCC, there are only 3 of them, they did not support the change to Tunney's Pasture. The president and CEO of the hospital, Dr. Jack Kitts, does not support the new site. Former mayors Jackie Holtzman and Jim Durrell oppose the move. Former CEO Ray Hessian has opposed the moves. The physicians and community leaders I have spoken to over the weekend resoundingly reject the interference of where our hospital should be located. The choice by the local healthcare experts is the experimental farm in Ottawa, across the street from the existing hospital and from the Heart Institute. It's accessible, it's the right size, and it's closer to shovel-ready. Will the minister be on the side of Ottawa patients and against the federal government's recommendation to build that hospital on the preferred site? Thank you.
Minister of Health, Long-Term Care.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm definitely on the side of patients with regards to the provision of healthcare services in the province of Ontario. The member does know, of course, that the hospital has a board, which is a community board, which is representative of the community that benefits from that service, as well as those that are residents there. My understanding is the board is meeting tonight. They have not yet made a determination or a recommendation based on this information that came last week from the National Capital Commission. But, Mr. Speaker, I think it's appropriate that we not insert ourselves in a community process aimed at siting a hospital within a jurisdiction, no more than with the Windsor Hospital as well. There's been a long consultation process with regards to siting of that hospital as well. I think the 3 members that represent that jurisdiction in Windsor would agree with me when I say it's important that we let the community decide with appropriate safeguards in a community-led process to decide where they believe the best siting should be, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.